Our next topic is the Flowerpot antenna. Our speaker has been a licensed amateur radio operator since 1979. A qualified mechanical engineer, his career has spanned roles as a management consultant and educator in high schools, TAFE and university. Beyond the classroom and office, he's a passionate home brewer in amateur radio, always tinkering with equipment and ideas. Each Friday you'll find him out in the field operating portable, a habit that's earned him the nickname Professor Portable amongst his peers. He's a long-time supporter of Jamboree on the Air, JOTA, helping Scouts connect with the world through radio. During the COVID-19 lockdowns, he launched a group of like-minded operators who took their gear to local parks, a tradition that continues today. He's an active participant in the Parks on the Air program and takes pride in making contacts from the great outdoors. His passion for radio is matched only by his enthusiasm for sharing knowledge, mentoring others, and inspiring the next generation of operators.
And he's also a regular contributor to All Access.
Thank you. Please welcome VK2JCC, Colin Christie.
Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and those people online. The Flowerpot antenna, a favourite antenna of mine. A lot of people seem to think you need to spend hundreds of dollars on antennas for VHF and UHF, but here is a solution which will perhaps $30 or $40. You'll end up with something that is a very usable antenna for not only for VHF and UHF. So what I want to talk to you about today, and pardon me for just looking to the side because I haven't got a photographic memory. I want to talk about what the Flowerpot antenna is, why radio amateurs use it, show you some step-by-step construction, to have an understanding of the sort of materials that we're going to use and how to test it and to waterproof it. The antenna is a coaxially end-fed antenna using coax cable feed as the antenna elements and a resident choke formed in the coax line to provide isolation between the antenna elements and the feed line, and the antenna is enclosed in PVC conduit or a similar plastic pipe. Now, there are some pipes that have carbon in it, and you want to stay clear of that because they won't work real well. I've found success with the grey or white PVC, and we'll talk about that in a moment.
That piece off and put it in a microwave and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with a glass.
I happened to be present at a meeting once when the original design by John Bishop, the late VK2ZOI, walked in the door with a wheelbarrow and a flower in a pot and a gardener's hat and secateurs and gloves and introduced the Flowerpot to the world. And I'm sitting there in that blue shirt just off the side there. And he proceeded to trim the leaves off the Flowerpot and bring it down to what it actually was, a Flowerpot antenna. And everyone was sort of somewhat amazed because we didn't know where he was going with this whole presentation. Thank you.
Thought he was in the wrong club.
Yeah.
He was probably tuning the antenna.
So there's a variety of Flowerpot antennas, and I've built the three versions. There's a 2 metre dedicated VHF antenna. There's a 2 metre VHF and 70 centimetre antenna, and a 6 metre antenna. And I've used these for quite some time, and I'll show you some of the applications very shortly. So if we just focus on the first one, the basic unit has the conduit with the antenna mounted inside, and to hold it in place, real high-tech technology is a piece of fishing line, which is brought out the very top of your conduit and just a PVC cap applied once you're happy with its characteristics. The choke is wound around the outside of the PVC, and I've actually adopted or did a little bit of a modification, a little bit like a bayonet fitting that you'd see in a light bulb years ago. So it means that when you do feed your coax through that hole and you wrap your 9 turns around it, you can lock it in place and bring the conduit out. If you ever need to do any repairs or anything, it's a lot easier just to slip that out. I just put a cable tie or something like that around it, slip that out, and you can pull the whole antenna out and service it and put it back exactly the way it was. So that's my sort of little take on that. So how do we make it a 70 centimetre antenna? Well, basically it's the same construction for the 2 metre version, but what you do is you put a piece of metal around at that location and seal it up with some heat shrink material. And this produces a broadband 2 metre and 70 centimetre antenna. And I'm here to tell you they work really well. At my location at Pennant Hills, I can hit 14 different repeaters. So they do perform exceptionally well. Yep.
You haven't mentioned what impedance the coax is.
That's just normal 58, RG58 coax, garden variety. Okay, so the actual construction is pretty straightforward. You feed the coax through the little hole there. Of course, I made the knot so I wouldn't come off and lose it while I was in transit. So you push it through there like that. If you couldn't build one of these in probably an hour, you're probably having too much coffee. So you put a little marker on here where you want to start the choke, then you do your 9 turns around there. Etc. You lock it into the little slot and your antenna's built.
You then put a coax joiner on that end.
Sorry?
You then put a coax tube joiner. You put a conduit joiner, another bit of conduit with the coax running down the middle of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
as
could
a
do
mask. As a
I
mask.
will talk about that in a moment.
So that, Colin, that 9 turns is purely an RM choke to isolate.
Absolutely. Yep. The where are you? Yeah, just stop at that one. Yeah, so when you do drill your hole in your PVC, drill it on a bit of an angle, as I've illustrated there, so that it slides in rather easily, and you'll be in business.
Less like your structure.
Yes, no bends. So you just remove the outer shielding. You put a piece of heat shrink over there. I haven't put a piece of heat shrink over there, and you've got your antenna. The use of, as I said, the use of the fishing line, which has come off, it doesn't matter, is just simply to anchor the top when you put a cap on. It's desirable not to put a cap on this end because you want to make sure it drains out if there's any condensate builds up in there or whatever, to keep it open. Okay.
How are you attaching your fishing line to the dielectric on the inner?
Just a few knots and a dab of hot melt glue.
Hot melt glue.
Yep. So here you can see just putting the fishing line onto it. Okay. And you need to accurately measure it out. If you stick with the dimensions that were shown, you'll find that the resonant frequency will be well within the 2 metre band, and also when you put the banding on, you'll find it'll be well and truly within the 70 centimetre band. And I've got some stats in a minute. So that just shows you a little marker so you know where to start turning your 9 turns on the conduit.
That's based on RG58CU.
50 out.
Not the foam coax.
Sorry?
It's all based on the calculation for appropriate.
This RG58 coax, yeah.
The polyurethane.
The garden variety one.
Yeah, the garden variety. It's just the basic sort of thing you buy anywhere.
Yeah, if you use a foam dielectric, you're going to have a different.
Of course, of course.
Because of the different velocity factor.
Okay.
We know.
The top end no, but the bottom end yes.
Okay, so there's your fishing line. You fished out the end of the coax, conduit, should I say, and you just tie it off. Nothing special there. And then, thank you. Then your choke ends up like that, and you can see this, in this version that the coax goes through another hole, which means you're sort of committed if you want to put a BNC or something like that on later. You can't get a thing apart. As I said, the little bayonet type approach gives you that flexibility. Okay, so the sort of curve that you typically get, as I said, if you work to those dimensions that I put up before, you'll get this curve without too much trouble whatsoever. It's child's play, it really is. Okay, so halfway down, you put a piece of heat shrinker over here, make sure you seal off the coax. If you've got a cap on it, the chances of moisture getting in are pretty remote, but putting a bit of heat shrink over it just ensures that it's okay. And as I said, I leave the bottom open so that if any water did get in, it can drain out, not build up any condensate or whatever. Okay, so I live in a strata, and we're not even allowed to have a second TV antenna. So all my stuff is stealth. Everything I got is camouflaged. And this 2 metre, 70 centimetre antenna is camouflaged in my tree. And if you look very carefully, you can see the flowerpot antenna up the top, the choke somewhat down, and then I've got a fiberglass pole, which I just anchor off to the various branches. The top of that's probably up about 6 metres, but where I live is 200 metres above sea level. So I've got a pretty good takeoff, no matter what direction.
You find the wet leaves cause any attenuation?
No.
You pick a dead tree.
Well,
Kill the tree.
I have selectively pruned the tree.
So there's no need for a ground flying or raising?
No.
There is,
It's nicely hidden. Yeah, it's a dipole. It's nicely hidden in the tree, and I've had that antenna up for about 14 years, and none of my neighbours have even noticed it. So because they work so well, thank you. I in 2023 I started an amateur radio station on board the HMS Vampire down at Darling Harbour. And I've got HF antennas up there, but I was wanting to also get 2 metres and 70 centimetres up and running. So I thought, well, good application for a flower pot. So I spoke to the fleet manager down there, and I said, I want to put some more antennas up. He said, what do you want to put up? You know, will it look out of character? And I said, no, it'll fit in beautifully with the origins of the bridge, as it were. So, thank you. So up on top of the bridge, where the blue arrow is pointing to, is where the flower pot antenna is located. And needless to say, anything above water and above a couple of tonne of steel work extremely well. Here's the antenna. It's a dual band, as I said. And installation was dead easy. I had two sizes of PVC, and there was a pipe sticking up that used to be a spotlight. And all I had to do to install it was get hold of the flower pot and drop it onto the post, and that's it, and connect up the coax. I actually was a naughty boy. I drilled a hole through the top of the ship, and I put a junction box in, and I used a complete tube of silastic and floated the junction box down onto it, and all my antennas come out that junction box. So I've got HF and VHF antennas all hooked up. Now there is another version called the naked flower pot. And here's the naked flower pot, same arrangement. You might want to make up a clip to fit onto a tree or something like that. I haven't even got to the stage of 3D printing a little clip just to hold that in place. There's your antenna, your heat shrink over it. There's your choke as per the other one. And I haven't even put a connector onto it. There's the naked version.
That'd be even more stealth.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got one like that for about 8 weeks.
Right. Yeah, they work. They work.
The SWR change it when it sort of moves.
I haven't noticed.
Chokes at that time.
Right. I haven't noticed it. No.
They're a fantastic antenna.
Okay. So if you want to, obviously it's an omnidirectional antenna, but if you want to make it a directional antenna, you can do this. You just get some more PVC, and about 250 mil seems to be about the correct spacing. You just put in a reflector. All I've done is just got some coax again and just put in the reflector and just done the same arrangement with fishing line, top and bottom, just to hold it in place. And then obviously you rotate the thing around for your directivity. And it seems to work reasonably well. It's fairly basic, but they work. They really work. Yeah.
Have you tried the sleeve around the reflecting element to see if that works on 70 centimetres as well?
I have not. That's a nice experiment to do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But as it stands, it's
Doesn't
still,
be just 3 wavelengths, 3 hot wavelengths.
Yeah. Sorry.
as it stands, even without the sleeve, the reflector works for 70.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
can you want?
That's
Yeah.
because it's 3 times the...
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I'm amazed that some people always say to me, oh, I'm looking at this brand or that brand. Which brand would you recommend? You know, it's only $157 or something. And I think, gee, how much would this cost? I don't know. $40, and you end up with
From the junk box? Nothing.
from the junk box. Yeah, if you got it in the junk box. I happened to come across literally a load of PVC that fell off the back of a truck. and I waved him down, would you believe? And I brought it to his attention, and he went, and kept on driving. So I thought, well, I've got to do the duty and keep the things off the road and keep the roadway safe. So I took it
Don't you
home.
have to cut it up to get it in the car?
I did. I actually had a little saw with me. Peter.
I actually don't use a fishing line. I get a bit about a 4-inch length of heat shrink, but 2 inches over the end of it, and heat shrink it up.
Right.
And that gives it enough flexion to loop over the top and put the end cap on.
All right. Okay.
Especially if you use 4-to-1 heat shrink, which has got the glue on the inside.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be good. But they are a simple antenna to build. If you've got an hour spare, and as you say, if you've got a well adjusted junk box, you can build yourself a pretty decent antenna. Dirt cheap.
What's the 6-metre one look like?
It's bigger, yeah. But I haven't done much experimentation other than it seems to tune up beautifully. Yeah. Yeah.
They've really got the gain of the dipole.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a chap on Dural actually here one day, and he was confined to a wheelchair and he was living in Lidcombe. And he said, I wished I had a better antenna. And I said, would you like a better antenna? I said, what's your sort of environment where you are? And he was in a sort of a care cottage, as it were. Anyway, I said, can I come over and have a look at where you are, you know, meet you and that sort of thing? He said, yes. So I went over and met him, and yeah, he had a little bit of territory to have an antenna, so I built him one of these and put it up, and for quite some years he was operating on it quite nicely until he passed away, unfortunately. But they are a very good antenna. I thoroughly recommend them. Are there any questions?
But the game's only that on the dipole.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have made a number of 6 metre versions which you use on the canoe race, which they will have a private net up and down a couple of checkpoints.
Right.
Might send you the dimensions, wouldn't it?
It's on VK2JCC.
ZOI, yeah. You'll get all the information on his website,
Okay.
yeah.
You're making sure that it's being kept online.
Yeah. All the dimensions are there. If anyone wants a copy of this PowerPoint, I'm more than happy to share it with you. It's a great antenna. What more can I say? Yeah.
I think the original design called for aluminium foil as part of the.
I'm not familiar with that.
Everything's metal sleeve.
Yeah.
You can make the sleeve on the outside a metallic tape for it.
Yeah, Peter
But-
Zielinski actually modified it for me, and he just got me some aluminium tubing that was exactly the right diameter in it.
I actually used foil, and it lasted about 5 years. And then I resorted to more high tech. I went to a piece of peach tin and soldered it so it fitted down nicely over it. The one on board the ship, I forget what I used on that. I think I had a piece of aluminium tube, and I actually machined it through the centre of it and crimped it down, and would put heat shrink over the top of it. But no, if you're looking for an antenna that will do both bands and you've got an hour to put it together, thoroughly recommend it.